Mercedes Mone seemed all but signed to AEW after showing up at All In and having ties to New Japan Pro Wrestling, which AEW is dying to be like. That's literally why even my arch rival QT Marshall said deuces. Take this nerdy professional wrestling and shove it. I'm going to Mexico. That's literally what he said. But if you're seeing what I'm seeing, that Mercedes just might be put in reverse and driving back to WWE. WWE and AEW have gone back and forth in an arms race this year. WWE signed Jade away from AEW. AEW signed Edge away from WWE. If you've been paying attention to these Shinsuke Nakamura promos, Okada might be on his way. So what? AEW signed Will Ospreay, who cares? WWE landed CM Punk. Punk-to-WWE is easily the biggest signing of 2023, so AEW needs a big splash of its own to keep pace. And Mercedes Mone is that splash. But does she want to be Mercedes or Sasha? And how can WWE lure the former women's champion back to the promotion despite her ugly divorce? Not that that hasn't happened in the past week. In fact, Sasha Banks celebrated CM Punk's return to WWE by tweeting, quote, "I love pro wrestling," when CM Punk made his shocking return at Survivor Series. This was not the only hint that Banks might be WWE bound, because just days earlier, Sasha Banks' BFF Bayley posted this photo on her IG story with the caption, "I've always got a plan." WWE is obsessed with the Bloodline. So much so, every storyline is an offshoot of the Bloodline these days. Imperium is doing Das Bloodline. Gunther, the tribal Führer, has been pitting Ludwig Kaiser against Giovanni Vinci. Every time each of them loses, they lose his trust, and they're one step closer to being kicked out of Imperium. Just like how Roman Reigns treated the Usos, Solo, and Sami Zayn. The Judgment Day has a power struggle of its own where Damian Priest has declared himself the leader. But after losing at War Games, WWE has been teasing that this could be the beginning of the end for Priest in the Judgment Day. And it feels like only a matter of time before Rhea Ripley, the real leader, orchestrates Priest's demise. Possibly with the Money in the Bank briefcase. The Judgment Day is emo, so let's just call him the eyeliner bloodline. Then there's the vaginal bloodline. Damage Control is at full strength, and they've been teasing tension with Bayley. After Bayley fought valiantly and lost at Survivor Series, Bayley's days as a Damage Control member are numbered. Shit, I wouldn't be surprised if she was yeeted out of the group this Friday on SmackDown. If so, Bayley is gonna need some allies to contend against Dakota Kai, Asuka, Kairi Sane, and Io Sky. Who better to go up against those four women than the four horsewomen? Sasha Banks' WWE return is being booked as we speak. Like, who better to come to Bayley's side than Sasha? WWE even referenced Bayley and Sasha being the reason that Kairi Sane was beaten up and yeeted out of WWE during her last run. It only makes sense that things come full circle. Sasha Banks and WWE would not only make for a great storyline, but it'll hurt AEW in its already struggling women's division. Seriously, if you're Sasha Banks, do you want to go to a ready-made storyline in the biggest wrestling company in the world under a new regime? Or do you want to roll the dice with AEW's week-to-week storylines and limited women's wrestling? I mean, just listen to Dave Meltzer complain about AEW and how all these special interest groups are ruining wrestling.
Like, I could see from the very first day AEW started, at the very first press conference, I remember talking to Mike Tenay and just going like, these are the questions. And I remember Mike Tenay telling me, he goes like, I would never want to be a part of this wrestling. Today's wrestling is like, well, what percentage is going to be devoted to women? Yeah. What percentage is going to be devoted to people of color? What percentage is going to be devoted to this? It's got to work. If it doesn't work, then it's 0%.
Yeah, you tell him, Aging Dave. Seriously, why can't wrestling be like the good old days when black people weren't on television unless a white promoter had a stereotype he wanted to exploit? Let's go back to those days. The days of those great promos from Kamala, the African giant, where he was all like, Aah! But today's point, AEW sucks at booking women's wrestling, and that's why it's on television almost 0% of the time. Women are not the special interest AEW is interested in serving. You can tell that by the smell of body odor and Doritos in Daly's place. So if you're Sasha Banks, is Tony Khan really the man you want to trust with your wrestling career? Do you want to be a superstar or an annoying special interest group who's only on TV because these whiny minorities keep asking for it? God, it's like I was telling Mike today. I would hate to book wrestling for today's audience where these pesky people of color actually have a voice. Yuck! Don't get me wrong, I hate wokeness, but WWE is not booking women to be woke. They're booking women because they actually draw money. Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair were the first two black women, another annoying special interest group, gross, to headline WrestleMania. Not because WWE was pandering, but because there just wasn't a bigger match between two bigger stars that night. WWE is gearing up for WrestleMania season in 2024, which will render AEW an ice-cold product for the time being, especially come March. Not only because WrestleMania season will be in high gear, but also because AEW will be going head-to-head with Family Guy on Wednesday nights. So between Stewie Griffin and Tony Khan, there will be two crying babies on Wednesday nights. Also, WWE is getting ready to announce its next TV rights deal for Raw, which should be massive. Hell, for all we know, WBD might bid for Raw. Do you really want to be part of AEW if that were to happen? Sasha Banks has aspirations to cross over to Hollywood, as evidenced by her starring role in The Mandalorian. Well, look around. WWE is literally being run by Hollywood agents. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just going to come out and say it. Go to WWE, Mercedes. It's a hotter product. You won't be treated like a special interest group because they actually push their women, and you won't be reduced to a percentage. AEW fumbled the bag with Jade Cargill. Nigga, you think you will be any different? Your friends are in WWE. Your husband's there. Are you really trying to roll around with Julia Hart in front of a half-empty gymnasium? I say all this respectfully. Check out this video about CM Punk's WWE return and subscribe. Where will we see Sasha Banks or Mercedes next? And what annoying special interest group are you part of? Tell me in the comments.